PUEDOS have been a really effective tool for me to start my classes this year, but sometimes managing them and grading them can be a little bit tricky. So here are some tips I've come up with as I've used them in my class. Here you see an example of a completed PUEDO. You've got the students' tasks and sign-offs from every classmate that checked what they did, and you've also got my signatures for the 3 that I spot checked. You can see some tasks like pronunciation and conjugation, a few questions, even have a little bit of culture there at the bottom. So this is what they turn into me at the end of about a week. Now, do I get all 25 PUEDO sheets in a class checked off before everyone's ready to turn them in? Definitely not. So I have a backup plan in the form of Flipgrid. Let's say someone submits their PUEDO to me in this form with no spot check signatures from me. That means that they only get half the credit until they have demonstrated a spot check on Flipgrid. That is, they record the spot checks for me and I can check them at my leisure. I do in fact use the paid version of Flipgrid at this point, so I have a whole grid set up for PUEDOS alone. But what you could do is simply create several topics for individual PUEDOS for each week. So you can see the review PUEDOS was the first topic that I created, and students submitted their videos there, those who did not get checked off in class. Up near the top, you can see in the description I included the numbers of the tasks that I wanted them to spot check for me. So I had them do number 1, number 7, and number 10 for this one. And then I can see all of the videos that they submit here under the topic. If you have concerns that your students are going to submit something that is somehow not PUEDO appropriate, you can have it so they're moderated and they show up as inactive and they don't show up at all for anyone but for you. Or you could just trust them and have them submit them without moderating so you don't get a bunch of emails. I would like to point out that it's kind of necessary to upload a photo of the PUEDO tasks so students can record their tasks after they have turned in their little half sheets. A question I often get is, how do you grade them? How do you put these in your grade book? The simple answer is I'll give them half credit if they turn in a completed PUEDOS form with just the signatures and never let me spot check their work. And if they let me spot check in class or they submit this Flipgrid spot check, they get a 10 out of 10, usually. I will, however, take 2 points off if their answers are just way wrong, like their pronunciation is way off or their conjugation makes no sense or their answer does not even go with the question. Now, these Flipgrid spot checks outside of class time could take a really long time, but I have a secret weapon. Her name is Lena and she's 6 years old and she has a semester of bilingual kindergarten under her belt. But the trick is she's not really the one grading. She just marks if I say everything's okay. So she sits at her little desk writing LS for Lena Sexton or Laura Sexton, they'll never know, while I say, yeah, that's good, or no, put an X. My husband can also do this role sometimes, but Lena feels really important when she gets to do it. Lena can be a little harsh though. She dumps all of the PUEDOS that don't have a Flipgrid with them into a bucket so that I can give them partial credit as I'm going through my grade book. If you want to know more about PUEDOS, check out the blog post in the link above, or tweet me at Senora Spanglish if you have any other questions.